welcome to the deep dive. You know, it feels like everywhere you turn, someone's claiming their truth is the only truth. It's a lot. How do you cut through all that noise? Find what's actually reliable, especially for guidance. Today we're doing something maybe a bit unexpected. We're diving into an ancient text, Deuteronomy 18, verses 15 to 22, and we think it offers some, well, incredibly practical tools for this exact challenge.
It really does. It might seem like just an old text, but it speaks so directly to that need we all have for authentic guidance and how to spot the misleading stuff. These ideas are surprisingly relevant even now.
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit. To really get this passage, we need to picture the ancient Near East. We're talking societies like Greece, Rome, Babylonia, Egypt. What did seeking guidance from gods look like for them?
Yeah, what's really fascinating is how they saw their gods sort of in a hierarchy. Most ordinary people, they wouldn't really go straight to the top god, like Ra in Egypt or Enlil in Sumer. Those gods felt too distant, too big for everyday worries.
So they aimed lower down the ladder.
Exactly. They'd pray to more specialized gods like Hapi in Egypt for the rivers or Min for fertility. Or even, this is interesting, the Sumerians had Enki, who was literally the god of sewers. It just shows how people naturally look for guidance that feels closer, more relevant to their, well, immediate problems.
Right. So if the big gods were seen as so far off, how did people think they got direct messages? That's where prophets come in, isn't it?
Precisely, yeah. Since the supreme gods didn't usually talk directly to people, the idea was they sent lower gods or specific human messengers, spokespersons you could call them, prophets or envoys. But then you look at ancient Israel, and it's unique, right? With this monotheistic belief in Yahweh.
Only one God.
Only one God. So that made the role of a prophet even more critical and maybe more easily abused too.
Ah, I see where you're going. If Yahweh is the only God, and there are no intermediaries like lesser gods, then the prophets are the sole channel for God's word. That's a huge amount of power.
Massive power.
And that leads right into the big problem, false prophets. I mean, if claiming to hear God is totally subjective, what stops someone just making things up for their own benefit? How could people tell?
That was the core challenge. And Deuteronomy 18, it lays out some really clear ways to discern. First, it points to the source of the prophecy. That's in verse 20. Is this message really from God? Or is it just coming from the prophet's own accord, as the text says? Driven by their own ego, their desires, maybe self-interest, even if it sounds religious. It pushes us to ask, does this actually line up with God's character, with the bigger picture of truth?
Okay, the source, that makes sense. And what's the second test?
The second one is about the fruit, or the fulfillment of the prophecy. That's in verses 21 and 22, and you see it echoed later, like in Matthew's gospel too. Basically, God's word achieves things. It bears fruit. It proves true, human words. Well, they might not.
That difference is, wow, it's crucial. It reminds me actually of a story from a Korean church community. There was a woman seen as having prophetic gifts, and she publicly accused a sub-pastor of misusing church funds. And the thing is, the accusation turned out to be factually true. The pastor did leave.
Okay.
But the way it happened, the prophecy itself, it caused terrible division, deep mistrust. Lots of people left the church. The whole community was just wounded. So it raises this really tough question, doesn't it? Even if the core message, the fact, was accurate, what do you do when the fruit is division and hurt, not love or healing? Does that tell us something about the source or maybe the intent?
That's the heart of it, isn't it? Yeah. Even if the facts check out, if the result, the fruit, is destructive, it really forces you to question where it's truly coming from, what's the spirit behind it. But beyond just spotting the false, Deuteronomy 18.15 gives this incredible promise. God says he would raise up a prophet like me, like Moses. It points towards one ultimate true prophet.
And for us, looking back, that points directly to Jesus Christ. He always said he only spoke what the Father told him. And his words, his whole life, death, resurrection, it all fulfilled what was spoken. It makes his teachings the perfect standard.
The ultimate benchmark, yes.
Yeah.
And the passage ends with something really freeing, I think. Verse 22 says, do not be afraid of him, meaning the false prophet. We don't have to be sort of paralyzed by all the confusing voices out there. We actually have ways to discern, and we have that ultimate standard.
So bringing this all back to you, listening right now, navigating all those voices in your own life.
Yeah.
What does this mean practically? Maybe the most reliable way to sort truth from falsehood is to keep checking in, aligning your choices, your beliefs, the voices you give way to, align them with Jesus Christ. Ask yourself, does this sound like him? Does it reflect his character, his teachings?
And maybe a final thought to leave you with. Where in your life are you looking for guidance right now? And take an honest look, what kind of fruit are those sources actually producing in your life and maybe in the lives of people around you?